Hello everyone, and welcome to the Ubuntu Touch Q&A, the UBports Foundation show discussing the development of Ubuntu Touch and our community's questions. This is episode 55, streamed live on July 27th, 2019. My name is Dalton, and joining me this week are Florian.
Hello.
And from a rock, Marius.
Hello. Well, not a rock, a sea actually. Well, the side of a sea.
But you're on a rock, and that's all that matters to me.
Can you see him at the sea?
Yeah.
Honestly, though.
This week we have a great roundup of news and questions for you all. So why don't we start off with talking a little bit about what's been happening on the Ubuntu Touch Edge channel.
So the Edge channel has had one of the things that I have been debugging for a long time is the stopping. Several. But this one is the one that fixed most of the issues that we had with the window manager being funky. And what the problem was that it didn't close the applications, or the application didn't receive a close code, because some applications handle it through mirror, while some don't respect what mirror says. And basically that's what it is. So the application that doesn't respect mirror close called has to have a PID sent to it PID, the ID of the applications that it needs to stop. Before this was on a timer, then it was changed. Something got merged that shouldn't be merged in from Canonical's trunk or from Canonical's launchpad, and for us reverting the change that was work in progress from Canonical fixed most of our issues. The plan first was to continue the work that was done by Canonical at this, where it let the application handle the termination itself instead of just kill it.
But now instead we just kill it.
Yeah, basically, if it doesn't behave and it doesn't act like we want it to when Mirror sends it a close request, we kill it. Basically. But this is pretty normal in phones. Android
I vote we
days.
kill the application.
Yeah, Google doesn't even send us close requests. Just
no, both Android and iOS. It is an unexpected event that you need to be waiting for at any time, where you will be killed. So you have to resume from that nicely.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what we're doing.
So yeah, application killing on phones is pretty normal. Like for example, on a phone, it wouldn't make sense to have a pop-up saying this application has freeze, do you want to close? Because people expect the application to go away when you close it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we are following this on the phone. Of course, Unity 8 desktop, we want to have it where it actually grays out and becomes more desktop-like on the desktop interface. But for right now, this is basically what it is right now, is what I'm saying. Right now, the behavior is exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. As it was before, that is. So that actually fixes a few things, including restart not working properly, not being able to close apps when they weren't focused. The weird thing where things would disappear and then they would appear again while you were dragging out, and not being able to close apps after uninstalling them. So that's a 4-in-1 fix right there.
Yeah.
One git revert. 1 month to get to learning where that was.
Well, I knew about that for a long time, but the plan was always to improve the code that Canonical already made. But at the end, I figure out that it will require some major refactoring in both Unity 8 and
Qtmirror.
Qtmirror, and also trying to actually figure out, because the application didn't receive, or Qtmirror just received the close call from the mirror side, or so it sends it to there's two parts of Qtmirror. You have one application side and one. Okay, yes, quickly.
So this is kind of nuts, because it goes from Unity 8 to QtMirror through 3 levels of abstraction to Mirror through 2 layers of abstraction to get back to the application.
Exactly.
And that's where I
Well, not-
stopped being able to find where it went.
Well, not necessarily. So
Anyway.
yeah, Mirror sends
Yeah.
both to the application, and then it sends back to QtMirror to say what the status is. And some application behaved nicely and said, okay, I closed, and then it sent it to Unity 8 and said closed. But some application, it just stopped from Mirror, and Mirror didn't do anything with it. And that's where the problem comes from. And yeah, it needs a hell of a refreshing, to say it mild.
Getting that, I mean, that's a big step on the way to getting Edge actually working to a point where it can go into Devil, because that was a huge problem of not being able to close things.
Yeah.
As you can tell, it frustrated me personally.
Yeah, the thing is that normal QML apps close pretty normally, unless they froze. But yeah, it's a more problem of not behaving to mirror calls. It's basically the underlying issue here.
Right. All right. And that's really the big stuff that's gone into Edge this fortnight. Florian, would you like to talk about your projects a little bit?
Okay, yeah, I can, of course. So first of all, people will remember that 2 weeks ago I made an announcement about the teleports being released soon, and probably now and then and immediately and blah, blah, blah. But unfortunately, QA said no. So while we prepared,
Sit down.
Yeah, we prepared a few release candidates for teleports update, and they failed with a few subtle things. And just today we discovered a regression bug, and yeah, we will try to fix this up, and it's actually going quite well. It's just a little bit of summertime now, and people are more outside and enjoying the sun.
Clearly.
Clearly, we have to respect
Clearly,
it a little bit. I mean, it's an open source project. People, they want to have their free time when it's still nice weather. They want to be outside. I can understand this. Not sit in the front of the PC all the time. And we can see Mario speaking a good example.
Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you're giving the best example today. I mean, that's great. Huh?
Well, yeah, but I still
shows it.
But he's still sitting in front of a computer.
Yes, that's the thing.
So, task failed successfully.
Okay.
Yes.
No, but basically, so we're still planning to release as soon as possible. We have a huge changelog, and so we really have to make a good QA process that we don't have any regression inside there. And yeah, so let's be surprised. I hope it will be the next days. Yeah.
So this. Oh, yep. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Just to remind people, what are some of the big things on the docket for this update?
Yeah, the most important thing is forwarding of messages. So you will be able to forward messages, and you will be able to actually write a small additional message to the forwarded message. And that was not possible at all until now, and also not incoming forwarded messages. They were not annotated. So you couldn't really see when you received a message that it has been forwarded from another channel or from another chat. Yeah. So it was a huge lack of information and caused probably some confusion among some users. So the forwarding is for single messages is now working. We still need a possibility, like in the old application, to make multi-select for messages. But that needs a little bit of design for the message list or for the message window, for the chat window. So we will deliver this a little bit later. Yeah? But the core code for the forwarding doesn't change if you forward one message or multiple, doesn't matter. So that's just one thing that we put on top later. And it will also allow the multi-deletion of messages then, because then you can select multiple messages and you can choose what you want to do with them, delete them or forward. And choose wisely, because if you delete the message that you wanted to forward, yeah, there will be a confirm box. Are you sure you want to delete 50 messages? But that drags me too much away. The second thing is that we are implementing more and more of the special message types or messages that can be in Telegram. One of the things that is missing, or let's say two of the things that are missing, are contacts and location. We started now with the location, which is a nice work to see how we can work with the location API from Qt actually. And so you will be able to send and receive small maps, posting your location or seeing when somebody else sends you a location message. And that would be nice. The vCard support will come a little bit later also because it's, again, a little bit more to be done. Yeah, these are the two main features. Then we have a lot of translation updates. We have new languages added. Actually, I have no idea at the moment which ones, but yeah, just read the release notes when it's there. I will mention everything there in a more better detail.
Yeah.
And what else? A little bit of QML cleanup here and there, yeah. So will be a nice release. Yeah.
Florian ranted to us about QML right before we went live.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
how to say.
Well,
That was fun.
when he's saying cleaning up QML, that's probably something we do every time, probably.
Swearing at
like,
QML.
Well, cleaning up too, because it's it can be messy writing QML.
Yep.
But it's really nice language, regardless of what Florian says.
Yes, of course. Don't get me wrong. Basically, I've also accomplished already very nice things. And maybe if somebody's interested, what we're doing in Teleports, we're using a library for QML called QuickFlux, and that makes things very easy for message passing between the front end and the back end code. It's all about actions and events and stores and things. So if you extend a little bit on top of what QML has on the very basic side, then you can do really powerful things with a few lines of code. Yeah? However, you should always look that your library code is very, very clean and doesn't introduce bugs, of course, but you will notice the bugs probably. But also performance can be impacted a lot if you're doing QML in the wrong way.
Right.
So it can be very fast, but yeah, I think that's usual for all the library and stuff where you build on multiple layers.
Well, you mentioned the location in there. And, one of the things that's going to get better with OTA 10 is location service reliability. Where before we were kind of using a assisted GPS model that didn't work too well. We've actually removed the assisted part from the assisted GPS, where whatever the chipset of the phone supports should be used, but that's about it. But now we're seeing that once the phone is locked onto location, it just stays locked. If you reboot, you have, maybe 30 seconds to get a lock again, and you're good. To go with all of that, we've also written a guide on our documentation at docs.ubports.com in the daily use section about using location services. And this is kind of an example of what we want the documentation to be. Well, what I want the documentation to be. Where it's a nice way for people to learn about how to use the OS to the best of its ability. That actually brings in a bit of a question that'll happen later.
I will just say quickly also, what he says about documentation also doesn't necessarily say that we should make the OS so hard that it requires our documentation.
Well, no. But I mean, this is very, this is how you use it, which is a good addition to it working well.
It's basically like the manual get for your TV and how to turn it off and on, basically.
It does have how to turn it off and on. What are you saying?
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, documentation is always nice. And speaking of documentation, this is something we also should do for the development side a lot more. especially more of the core parts. I feel like the app documentation are somewhat good, but the documentation for any of the core OS stuff like Unity 8 or Qt is basically just trial and error at this point.
Yep. Actually, Alberto did contribute documentation about the calendar feature and how it works at a base level from the calendar up all the way down to sync evolution. So that's pretty cool.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So that's in the system software development section, and it's also a good model of what we'd like to have over there.
Oh yeah. I'm probably the lazy one that doesn't make documentation.
I mean, I wasn't saying that directly, but
Gotcha.
got him. But really, the best way to write that kind of documentation is just to take notes as you learn it the first time. So that's what I always try to do. So it's the only problem is taking those notes and then formatting them as restructured text and actually submitting them to the documentation. I'll admit I'm also lazy too. It's not lazy, it's efficient. Just gotta keep telling yourself
it's
that.
Developers.
No.
Developers are lazy by nature.
Efficient.
I wouldn't say, and lazy, let's say if they work day and night and they don't eat or drink for a long time just to finish that one problem, they don't seem lazy to me. It's more about being very focused, let's say.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good point. We aren't lazy at all if you think it that way. We are more efficient. We are just working a lot more efficient than a normal.
I have read plenty of guides since you guys put me into this position on managing software teams, and no, having people work overnight is probably the worst thing for all of them. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Many of the parts that are in Ubuntu Touch is made in the night.
I know.
Just saying that.
Okay. Well, should we talk about something a little bit fun then? Let's do that.
Helium.
No.
Okay.
So, Aurelio contributed a set of 51 images of the UBports Yumi mascot robot. All in SVG, which we have converted to Ping and submitted to Telegram as a sticker pack. So if you want more UBports Yumi in your life in all sorts of different faces, why are there only 49 stickers? I thought I put 51 in there. I'm going to have to check that.
But did you say Ping instead of PNG?
Yes. You can find them at t.me/addstickers/UBportsYumi, all one word. Or if you're a member of the UBports supergroup, you have them available to you by default, and you can add them to your sticker list. So that's fun.
Yeah.
And they look good, and if you click on the name, then it says @UBports, and you can go to @UBports from there. So if people share stickers in other groups, then people will get linked to UBports and maybe learn a little bit about what it is. So that's cool. Thank you, Aurelio.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
All right. After all that fun, I feel like we need to take a little break, take a little breath. Don't die, please.
No, it's just a fucking mosquito.
And that's the reason why developers normally don't leave their home even in the hottest summer, because there are bugs, and the bugs are real this time.
The bugs.
I mean, we are afraid of bugs all our lives, and then suddenly there come real bugs. No. I have my window open, but I have this net in front, so there are no bugs in my room normally, except in my computer, of course.
Yeah. Well, I mean, using Windows, so
don't talk about.
So I think this is a good point to stop all of this discussion and thank our sponsors. which you can find at ubports.com/sponsors. So thank you to our infrastructure sponsors, including Smooze, Private Internet Access, DigitalOcean, and Packet.net. You're all making it possible for us to create Ubuntu Touch. And to everyone who is donating to us on Patreon or via PayPal directly or LibrePay, thank you to all of you as well, because we're able to buy hardware, pay people to do great work, and basically facilitate this project of a mobile OS that we all want. So thank you all, especially to our community sponsors, Darko Balka, Thoralf San, Laurentine Tilleman, Milan Iliv, Scott Marley, Renat Mirkalev, Morgan McMillan, and Sergio Svetsov. If you'd like me to mispronounce your name too, you can head over to ubports.com/donate and click on that Patreon link, or just go directly to patreon.com/ubports. There are also links to get to direct PayPal donations or LibrePay if you prefer that at ubports.com/donate. Well, Marius, thank you very much for being with us today. But I hear that you have a limited LTE plan that is going to kick you off very soon.
Yeah, it was a mistake selecting HD video.
All right.
Even though LTE is really fast, data is still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, see ya.
Yeah, thanks for being with us.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So
All
you can
right.
see the Norwegian sun is still shining. It's totally dark already here in Vienna, Austria.
It's bright here, but that's because it's 2:30 p.m.
Yes. Oh,
It's a beautiful day outside, actually. It's not hot.
Really?
It's been really, really hot this week.
Hmm.
You know, hot.
Yeah. We're also melting here. But things are getting better. I mean, yeah. The summer is soon over. And then people are back for development of Ubuntu Touch. That's good.
Yeah. Been a little bit quiet with everyone on holiday, but we'll get back up. Let's go on to some questions, shall we? So we take these questions from our forum, as well as live chat, if I remember not to put it behind one of my Firefox windows all the time. And you can find that at forums.ubports.com. We post these in the news section where you're able to reply, get your questions in early, so that we'll take them here on air. We'll start this week with a question from Jimmy. There was some discussion on the move to GitLab from GitHub several months ago. Is this still ongoing, and do we want to move all of our code to GitLab? So yeah, we've talked about this a few times in the Q&A before, but it's been a little bit, I suppose. Basically, everything that can be on GitLab right now is, and as we continue to enable more things, we're moving them over as well. So all of the core apps you'll find on GitLab at gitlab.com/ubports. And then those are automatically built after a tag and submitted to the open store, which is really awesome. But for all of the deb packages that go into the system, all of the system packages, it's a little more wrinkly. Right now, our deb packaging infrastructure is not terribly flexible, and is kind of locked into the Jenkins infrastructure that we've made for it, which isn't really good at all, and we know that. So what we need to do before we can move everything over to GitLab is get a new Debian packaging infrastructure in place that is proper, works correctly, and can be submitted to correctly from GitLab CI. So that work goes slowly because the people who need to do that are also the same people who need to be developing Ubuntu Touch. But it is something that, as priorities continue to shift, will come up here. Okay, Florian, any comments on that?
No, basically, I think you pretty much put the point of it. The thing is also that we have, of course, on GitLab, we have some advantages over GitHub, technical ones. I mean, we also talked about this already some time ago. We have the possibility to structure our project or our organization in a better way. So GitLab is very attracting actually to us. We can have internal private trackers for sensible stuff, let's say, or for internal things. We can organize pretty much more than just code on GitLab. And we have, as we are a community, we open source community, we have a gold status there. We don't pay for it, so they also kind of sponsor us implicitly.
Yeah.
So we shall make use of that. So we're using it already in the background for some things, and I think the really cool thing is now that the core apps have been moved to GitLab already, and they are building on their CI, so not on ours. And GitLab CI is very powerful, of course. And we automated pretty much things like, for example, when I come back to teleports, we talked about the release before. Teleports is on GitLab. That means GitLab is building actually the click package for us and is also pushing it to the open store directly. So that's fully automated, and it's a dream for us because we don't need manual tasks so much. So,
yeah.
I mean, if something can also go wrong. You can publish the wrong thing, then it will be automatically published in the open store, and you have a broken release out there. You need to be very careful with this automation. But the automation saves a lot of time for us. So that's the upside, and that's the things that we can move easily to GitLab. We are moving or already moved.
Right. And for bigger project management things like the release of OTA 10, the tickets to manage that are all on GitLab and tracked as part of an epic.
Yeah.
And because of this camera bug that we have and are continuing to work on to fix, that's been working really well because we can track exactly what's going on and say, this is what's blocking the release.
Yeah. Good.
How about the question from Barnowl, Florian?
Progress report on the Pine 64 hardware this week. How is the software progressing for it? What is done and what still needs to be done? Experiments in getting Mesa from Gitmaster working basically failing due to how old 1604 is. I don't understand the second part quite well, but you might.
That's not part of the question, but thank you.
Okay. That's the answer.
We do it live, everyone.
Yeah.
What he said. Notkit has been working a lot with Mesa on the Pine 64 hardware because that's what we need. Mesa from Gitmaster rather than any of the releases to work with the brand new in kernel as of 5.2 Lima driver for the Mali 400 chipset that it uses for graphics. Now, so far, building that has proven to be a bit of a pain because they drop support for GNU Auto Tools, and they only use the Meson build system now. And the Meson build system that they use is newer than what we can get in 1604. So that's interesting. But it's all that's all in the background work that we need to worry about. It's also looking, we're kind of going back and forth on it because it's Lima is still a little glitchy. It's getting better with every release, but we might need to wrap the proprietary Mali driver in order to get the best performance out of the hardware at this point. So these are all things that we're still looking at. And of course, as we say every time, the work on Edge is what's enabling this to happen. So we are looking at Edge, and we are driving effort toward Edge, because doing things in parallel is very bad for a small project, to put it simply.
Yeah. So, I mean, still the progress might not be that visible for everyone. But on the other hand, if you're looking on the Edge channel right now, and I put it on one of my test phones, the stability is great. There are, of course, a few glitches, but the interesting thing is that it will come up like this on the Android phone, and in the same way on the non-Android phone. That will be a major achievement, because the thing is, what you don't see here, that means you don't see a difference.
Right.
If we are
That's the
a
point.
phone, yeah, that's the point. We shouldn't see a difference between those two devices, even if they have a completely different HEL and kernel version, and everything will be different somehow on the lower levels.
Right.
And the user should not see any difference on the top level.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
All right. And actually feeding into that a bit was Louis' question, which is, will Ubuntu Touch 18.04 be built? Or will we continue to build on Ubuntu Touch 16.04? And then someone tacked on a question, since in order to move past 16.04, we need to move to systemd, would we use systemd on 16.04? That second tack on question, I don't have an answer for you. We don't know if that's the better way to do things. And that information comes up as it comes. So, but, go for it.
No, and just saying that I think the major reason why we kept Upstart for the moment was that the legacy devices are totally fine with it, and we have still no clue if we could move the BQ Meso devices ever to systemd without breaking anything or without even being unable to compile for them, because they are still closed source for the device tree. So we don't want to let's say, break so many devices that are still working very well. So there is no real reason to move to systemd. And on 16.04, we won't do it at all, I think, because it's not worth any benefit. And if we jump from 16.04 to 18.04 or 20.04, we have really no reason to think about it now, I would say. But probably not 18.04 because it's already here. And 16.04 is still supported. We will squeeze out, I think, the last bit of support for 16.04 until we move.
Right. I think we'll be jumping from 16.04 to 20.04.
Yeah.
Is what's going to happen. But don't quote me on that, please, because that's not a decision taken with all of the information that we have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Next one.
Yeah. Hadrian asked, are you still working on communication with companies to be able to make a smartphone with Ubuntu Touch, as happened in the past with BQ and Meizu? Yeah, you.
Yeah, I can take it. Yeah, of course. I mean, everybody knows already we are in talking with the new phone vendors or with the new phone projects like Pine64 and Purism, and that's one thing. I think that the question might target to other companies that we don't mention so often. So yes, there have been talks at least with a few companies, and I can also say that we had a talk with BQ already a long time ago. I think we mentioned this already 1 year ago or nearly 2 years ago.
Because you're the one who did the talking.
Yes. The thing is just with companies that are selling Android phones specifically, they want to have a lot of assertions before they would even involve us in deeper negotiations. Yeah. So it's hard for a small project to convince a company that is selling phones on revenue to, for example, include the operating system with their offering. So the idea is still they could support us with developing a port for an Android phone, but I'm not quite sure if anybody wants to put it directly on the factory images. That will be really hard for them because they have to give support. There is warranty included and stuff, and they really want to avoid getting on a dual track with the Android support, with the Ubuntu Touch support. I think still BQ could be maybe convinced, but we have to prove first that we are a really stable and well-supported system.
Yep.
So when we bring it to recent phones, when we bring it maybe to Pine64 and Purism, we will see how the others react, and then we have a better basis for the discussion. Yeah. Currently, if we come there, they say, yeah, it's nice, but come back when you have finished it for, let's say, I don't know, Android 8 or whatsoever. I mean, they also cannot offer any old phones anymore. We have to bring everything up to the latest Android version, for example. That's a major blocker for these discussions to continue. Yeah.
Right.
But yes, we are still discussing.
Yep. And of course, these community hardware projects are a godsend for us. They're very nice, and
Yes.
we thank the people who brought them forward, especially Pine 64. It was really interesting how that all got started. Geez, that was August last year already. Wow, how far we've come.
Yeah, it's true. It's already 1 year again.
I remember they just joined the group and said, hey, we want to make a phone. Who should we talk to? It's like, what?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we take the road that's the most easier one for us at the moment. That means we go with those vendors that have the least preconditions for us to be on their platform, let's say. And Pine 64 doesn't have any preconditions. They will just sell the hardware, and they say, okay, you can do whatever you want. They will support us, of course, but they don't have any legal contracting, any, I don't know, non-disclosure agreements and stuff.
Right. And they're waiting for someone to be ready before they ship the hardware so that it's a good experience. So it is really nice. By the way, Pine tabs are in the phone, are in the mail, and I'm excited for that. And I know that some of the community members who are getting them are very excited about that.
I mean, you have to see also that this company is able to manage 2 different projects at the same time, focused on 2 different markets, and they're really pushing hard to get this hardware.
Well, they have a lot of projects going on right now.
Yeah.
Like the Cube camera and all those things that we saw at FOSDEM that we all wanted to take home.
But I'd say that the tab and the phone are the most, let's say, the buzzwords here in the community. Yeah. And so, yeah, I'm really interested. Yeah. So, I mean, what we see, to be honest, I didn't follow the latest Purism progress reports, but it will be kind of a race towards the end of the year. And I think those 2 candidates are the only serious one to be able to deliver something this year. Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, it is interesting. That question came in from Hadrian, I forgot to say. I think let's reorder this a bit. Since you talked about Purism a little bit, everyone asked, is there any news on the partnership with Purism regarding the Librem 5? Did the core team receive dev kits as someone from Purism claimed on their forum? Yeah. So Purism sent out 2 developer kits. Marius got his this week. So it's very much, unboxing, seeing what's going on with it kind of things. It'll be interesting to continue to look at that and how the project is going as we go through these next few months. But as of now, that's what we have to say about it.
No, but what I can say from let's say the board level in this case, how we are prioritizing things. I mean, we are a small team now, and it took a long time for these dev kits to arrive on our place. And currently, we have assigned the resources in a little bit different way. So we will not immediately jump onto the Purism boards and start working with them, because there is already a lot of progress in the Pine 64 kits, and basically it's a similar thing. So when we have finished a few things for Pine 64 and the non-Android enablement, I think those things can be taken over to the Purism dev kit, and it should work out nicely, more or less. I mean, substantially for us, there is not so much difference except for the GPU, which is still a little bit not clear how it will differ from, or how it will differ, we know. Yeah.
It's at Naviv versus.
Yeah, it's a completely different GPU. Let's say. And what I see so far is that from the Purism progress reports, you can see that the GPU is working in some way, and so there should be some kind of support. Maybe we can hook on their experiences up to this point. But still, we are not able to fire up the Purism pipeline just now and start right away. And also, I must say, it's summertime, so resources are limited anyways. So let us come back from holidays and see what's going on, maybe end of August. That would be some time when everybody's again there and we can discuss what we do in which order.
All right.
But
Thank
thanks to
you.
Purism, they finally arrived. We are happy to have them. And that's something accomplished because
Yeah, everything came
sometimes-
together, and it was
yes,
really
everything
good
comes
once
together.
everything came together. It worked out really well.
Yeah. Okay. That's really the everyone question today. We should give it a special color in the
Everyone.
future. Everyone.
All right. Heading back in the notes to Shanks,
Yes.
who asked, what is the status of the Unity 8 desktop? And there's a tack-on question to that, are the edge changes going into the desktop? And I think that's the more interesting one here, because the code base for Edge and, well, Bionic is more similar than the code base of Xennial and Xennial Edge. So all of those changes should get merged back into the desktop branch from Edge. That hasn't happened yet, probably mostly because of my project management more than anyone else's failing. But that's mainly what's going on there. Those changes should all get merged if they are suitable for the platform they're going to be used on. But they haven't been yet. And I know that a lot of people are excited about the Unity 8 desktop, but our focus is more squarely on the phone and making a good mobile operating system. The desktop is part of that, just a little bit less so, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the beginning, there was a lot of initiative to bring everything on the desktop, and people would love to see it, of course. But we have also to imagine how much more of support and functionality things we would have in our way. I mean, there is always the possibility that interested developers start working on that and also packaging that in a little bit different way for the desktop to be installed nicely. So that's completely open. Yeah? If anybody wants to work on Unity 8 for desktop, be it. Yeah? But for the moment, our focus is really not on bringing that first before we have other things on the pipeline. Yeah.
Right. And it can be installed on Bionic AMD 64 desktops now. But it's broken. So that'd be the place to start, is install it, see what's broken, see if you can make less broken. And you can find us at UBports _ Unity 8 on Telegram, which is a good place to help out.
Yeah. I mean, it would be great, of course. There is a lot of interesting aspects of having this also on the desktop. Not only because you can, let's say, have a lookalike of the converged view. Let's say it looks like you would have a converged desktop. You can fool your friends and say, look, I connected my phone to USB and then I have a converged desktop. It's just Unity 8 on desktop.
One code base running everywhere is convergence, not one device running everywhere.
That's true. That's true. So yes, basically it's a little bit of that. Yeah. Maybe it would make things a little bit easier for developers sometimes if they have a Unity 8 desktop. I don't know. I don't see immediately that you need it or it brings much of benefit, but little ones maybe. Could be, yeah. Maybe it's also possible to install it on a kind of a tablet with a touch screen, for example, and you can play with touch gestures. Could be, yeah. So, yeah.
Well, it isn't super broken. It's normally on this tablet, laptop thing, combination, nutso, whatever this is.
Ouch. I was a little bit now frightened.
Did that scare you a little bit?
Yes.
Snapping the screen off of it. Yeah, that's really cool. Cool party trick.
So, yeah, I mean, really would be nice to have more developers for Unity 8 desktop, which would be also easier because they don't need to have any Android knowledge, no mobile phone knowledge about all these really awful things going on in the background here. It's just plain desktop development. But yeah, maybe we make a call for action through our channels.
Yeah.
Could be. Thanks for the reminder about Unity 8 desktop.
Yeah.
Sleeping Beauty.
And Aurelio, who is also, by the way, the creator of those wonderful stickers, asked, if I understand correctly, you're trying to substitute most UBports maintained packages, libraries, and toolkits to mainstream ones. You're replacing them so that you can save on developer energy, have updates, and concentrate on more important UBport specific things like the Unity 8 desktop, click packaging, and its core apps. What is still missing in that substitution process?
Yeah.
This is an interesting question. So a lot of things we are still vendoring, such as Ophono, which is the phone hookup backend, everything that handles everything from SMS and MMS to phone calls. And so that's one. The upstream more likely to go to there is not Intel, which is the real upstream of Ophono, but Selfish, Yalla. They're a more likely upstream for that. I think the big one that, if Marius was still here, he would say is location, where Ubuntu location services, okay. But Canonical moved a lot of what they learned from Ubuntu Location Service into Location D, which they created for their IoT platforms in Ubuntu Core. In fact, I'm pretty sure if you looked through the code, a lot of it would be the same. Location D is basically the same. It's a plugin based in infrastructure for getting location data and sending it to apps. So that'll be an interesting one to switch to as well, since that's still maintained by Canonical. And since they're using it for their IoT stuff, obviously they probably have a customer for it too. Anything you can think of, Florian? Would you like to move the Telegram app to more upstream technologies?
Wait a second, I was just a little bit muted here. No, I don't think that Telegram is the right upstreamable thing that we could do. I'm looking now specifically a little bit through my brain about what we have with the Bluetooth thingies. But so far, everything there seems to be upstreamed already and quite usable. There are a few patches inside Network Manager. We are trying to work with those guys, and so Network Manager should get all the necessary patches that we have there for the data connections on the mobile phones, like the Ophono or RealD patches that were made by Canonical. I think everything has been somehow upstreamed, but I'm not sure if they really did it or just wanted to do. Yeah.
Right.
So there's a little chance that we find, let's say, stale upstreaming or things that were work in progress, and they're not in newer versions, maybe. Well, what could also be missing? There is one thing that fits here a little bit. It's the Cordova thingy. People asked me some time ago if it's still possible to develop apps in Cordova for Ubuntu Touch, and I had to say no because Cordova stopped having the Ubuntu Touch target. It would be great if someone could upstream the necessary changes again so that Cordova accepts it and we can build apps for Ubuntu Touch. Again. It worked already, so it's a really pity that they dropped it because they didn't see any benefit, of course, and nothing was maintained.
There's no one contributing to it.
Yes, if nobody contributes, then why Cordova guys should keep the platform active? Yeah?
Right.
But yeah, it could be a nice addition where we maybe have not such a huge code base to maintain, but it would enable a few things. Yeah.
So that would be anyone who knows a little bit about the Cordova, either knows about Cordova code base or just makes Cordova apps, checking out what was in the history, maybe just bringing it back.
Yeah. I think that should be fairly possible, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know what was the real state, but it worked already pretty much. I tried this Cordova test app when it came out. It was some big news with Canonical. Now we have Cordova apps. 6 months later, we don't have Cordova apps anymore. So yeah, it's a pity.
All right. Well,
good.
Is there anything else you'd like to cover, Florian, today?
No, I think I'm pretty much done.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. And thank you, everyone, for watching this episode of the Ubuntu Touch Q&A. This was episode 55. And you can find us on all sorts of social media platforms. The fun doesn't stop here, including Facebook, Twitter, PixelFed, Mastodon, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Diaspora. Or if you want your news directly in your chat client, we have a Telegram channel and a Matrix channel just for that. Or if you'd like to chat with us in real time, you can head over to Matrix or Telegram at UBports. And we also have a forum at forums.ubports.com where we talk about, well, everything. It's a place for longer form conversations. But you'll see a lot of the same cast of characters that you see in the real-time groups. I'd like to thank you all again for watching. I'd like to thank Florian, and even though he can't hear me anymore, Marius, for being here today, hosting this with me.
It was a pleasure, as always.
And
serve.
And we will see you all next time.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.